It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
WFO, everybody. Joe Castello back with you. WFO Radio Podcast is back. Click subscribe. Never miss a show. NHRA interviews, some NASCAR talk, sports talk. We covered everything, and we'll continue the shows through the winter break. 2019 was an amazing year. I had a great time, and just so many stories that are just backed up from the Auto Club Finals. We'll get into all of that. Alan Reinhart. We're going to do a breakdown. We're going to get Alan's take on everything that went down the 2019 season, and I'm sure he's a bit disappointed. Alan loves the sport of NHRA drag racing, and now it is over for 2019, but it won't be long. The winter break, right? It's not an off-season because everybody still keeps working. I know that's the case here in the WFO Radio studios. And we will try to keep the content pumping out. Plus, for you Patreons, going to have some special stuff as well. The people who go follow us on patreon.com/WFO Radio. Also, big thanks to our sponsors. It's holiday season, Black Friday, all that stuff, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to get? I say it over and over again that one of the WFO Radio sponsors can get it all hooked up, and you can get it for everybody. Like, I am not ashamed to get everybody the same gift over and over again. Like, they don't know. They're not communicating, right? In fact, if one talks to the other and says, oh, my gosh, I got this amazing coffee bundle from Castello, and it's just, the aroma was amazing, and I was just so happy, then if you don't get it for everybody, they're going to be disappointed. So you just get everybody the same thing. Just get everybody the same thing. And what I'm talking about is Rodak's coffeeandgrills.com. Marvin Rodak, hot sauce and spice rub, and everything good. And it comes in a box, and it is perfect for clients and friends at the holidays because everybody loves it, and it lasts well beyond the holidays. You can get full bean or ground, roasted fresh per your order. Give Marvin a call, 817-924-6821. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com in Fort Worth, Texas. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. Every week I say it. We're going to have Jack Beckman on this week. We're going to talk about it. Did you know that Jack Beckman instructed Brittany Force, obviously, Robert Height, obviously, Erica Enders, obviously. Or maybe it's not obvious because that's why I'm shocked about it. Like, this guy has had instructional time with all the greats of the great right now in the NHRA, which I think is great. And we're going to speak with Fast Jack Beckman later on in the week. Of course, Steve Torrance this week, Gianna Salinas this week, Jeg Coughlin this week, all on WFO. Never miss a show. Click subscribe. Thanks to these great sponsors like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, where you can go. You're not really learning to become a professional driver. You're just driving dragsters and having a fun time with Frank Hawley. And they go all around the country, and you get it as a gift for someone you love, or you demand it from someone you love as a gift. Like, this is what I want, Santa. Dear Santa, this year I have been a very good boy, and I think my wife should get me Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School Dragster Adventure. Courses only start at $399, which is very affordable considering I just get to show up at the track, and I don't have to bring anything, and I get to have a day of fun. 130 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Dear Santa, I also think this could be a great thing for my clients. So maybe I could get a couple more of these. Thank you, Santa. Signed, Lenny. The imagination runs wild with stuff like this. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, frankhawley.com. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. This is one of those things you know you need it. Stop using the kitty litter. MagicDryUS.com. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Matt Hartford and the team over there doing great things from Formula One down to your car, which is amazing. Total Seal is involved in the highest levels of motorsport, and they learn a whole lot of stuff there, and ultimately that translates into the rings that you're going to buy. Total Seal, the leader in ring seal technology, TotalSeal.com. And you engine builders out there, when you get them, let them know you heard about it on WFO Radio. And Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, Brian Massengill and the Massengill family. Such a great, great thing that they're doing. Educating the future. You are an interested kid, right? You're like, man, I love racing, and I love this, and I love building engines, and I love the going fast, and I love being around the smart people, but how do I get started in this? Like, what do I do? Do I have to go hang around a shop and just kind of kick around and hope to learn some stuff, or is there a school I can go to? And the answer is there's a school you can go to, located around Houston, Texas, and they do a great job. Not only can they educate you, but they can get you placed somewhere where you can begin work. Go to samtech.edu to find out more information. Doing a great job with that. Samtech, Total Seal, Frank Hawley, Magic Dry, and, of course, Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Lots of NHRA talk coming up. The archive is going to be loaded. That means you need to download the app, and let's get into it. Joining us now, he called the action at the Auto Club Finals. He called a great season of Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. Alan Reinhart returns. Alan, welcome back.
Hey, Joe, great to be back. What a finale, huh?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's me. What a finale.
Did you just go to DEF CON 2?
DEF CON 2, man. That's it. DEF CON 2. What I like and appreciate about what we witnessed is people are still talking about a whole variety of subjects, not like one storyline, multiple storylines that are extending beyond the end of the season. To me, that tells me we had a great championship finale.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the fact that we've got a little something to chit-chat about for the next couple of months until we fire them off again in Pomona. You know, obviously some good and some not so good, but it's still conversation nonetheless.
Nonetheless. And, you know, we can start off in many different places, and we certainly have got good and bad things to talk about in just about every category that was contested in the Mellow Yellow series. But as someone who has done sports talk radio in the past and certainly monitors that universe, this is what they thrive on, right? They thrive on the controversial story where 40% of the people think one thing and 40% of the people think the other thing. And then you got 20% in the middle who don't know what they think and they're trying to make up their mind, and everybody's got an opinion. Good guy, bad guy, this, that, the other thing. And just people want to express their opinion. That is what we have seen, certainly with the Steve Torrence Championship and the Cam Ferret, Steve Torrence back and forth.
I agree. I think that, it's NHRA reviewed it. NHRA passed down the penalties, and I think that the penalties are exactly in line with what the precedents have been set in NHRA before. So I think it's time to put that to bed and move forward. That's my opinion. Obviously, there are those who disagree, but I think that, for everybody that says he should have been tossed from the event, well, there's no precedent for that. NHRA has never done that in the past. Didn't see any reason for that to happen this time. I think the last time I can remember a physical confrontation between two drivers, and I haven't heard anybody else bring one up either, was 13 years ago. So, for those who are telling me that NHRA is turning into WWE and it's ridiculous and I can't believe that's simply not true. If once every 13 years two drivers get upset enough to have a physical confrontation, I don't see that as a huge problem. I think Steve was very contrite in his championship speech. Started right off with the apology, and I think it was also very heartfelt when he said they're very involved with the Junior Drag Racing League and a lot of the junior kids that look up to him, and he's embarrassed for his behavior. And I think that that was sincere, and I really hope that we can just put it behind us and move forward.
Agreed. And I also think that the people who are having the opinion that Steve should have been kicked out of the event, and basically that would have meant Brittany got a bye run in the second round, which would have, nearly locked up the championship for her. Those are people who didn't want to see Steve Torrence win the championship 2 weeks ago, right? And this is their opportunity. And so a lot of people are jumping on that. The style of physical confrontation really matters. This was not closed fist punching. This was not pretty, but a shove And in the end, it's just about inflaming the passions of the race fans. I put out my opinion. I did not think that the championship should have been taken away. That was, I deemed it ridiculous. The idea that NHRA would take away a championship. And if they did, Alan, there would have been a large group of people freaking out about that is equal or larger than the group now. So in the end, it's something that happened, something that went down, part of the 2019 championship story. We'll remember it always, but Steve is the champ.
Well, Steve got the largest fine that I'm aware of for anybody committing a similar offense. Matter of fact, more than double any other fine that I'm aware of. And I think that the punishment fit the offense in this case. I think, what Steve did was out of line. He knows it. I know it. All of the fans know it. But then you end up with, and as an analogy I used with a couple of people that were sending me emails to my announcer email box, everybody that said, well, those guys got plenty of money, that fine doesn't mean anything to them. If two drivers are speeding, the guy driving the Ferrari doesn't get a higher fine than the guy driving the Taurus just because he can afford a nicer car. It's the same offense. And Steve committed the same offense that has been committed before and got more than double the fine, but not 25 times the fine. Again, the last time that I know that this happened was 13 years ago. So, I think that NHRA has kept in line with their precedent, that they've been consistent with punishment for this type of thing. And, to go back to the speeding ticket analogy, the first time you get a speeding ticket, you don't go to jail. And now, if you get 3 speeding tickets, then you got a problem. But, I'm not seeing that. And, yes, Steve is brash, and yes, Steve is outspoken. And, Steve sometimes maybe says something that he regrets later. But that's a long way from physical confrontation, and I'd rather have a driver who's fiery than a driver who doesn't care. So, like I said, I think the punishment fit the offense, and I hope everybody will put it to bed. And I really hope the knee-jerk people that I heard from both in my mailbox and in chat rooms that, okay, that's it, I've had it with NHRA, I'm never going to another race, I'm never watching again, it's like, seriously? Because one guy had, lost his temper for 30 seconds, and you're going to sign off of a sport that you supposedly have, been in love with for so many years. I hate to see that, but I don't know what I'm going to do that's going to change your mind.
Well, exactly. And that personality type, they're out there, and I don't believe them. I don't believe them. Why waste our time with that nonsense? Like, really, you're going to turn off NHRA track. Where are you going to go? What are you going to watch? Where are you going to go? All other sports have this. I was at a hockey game yesterday. The hockey fights happen all the time. I just think that that's a waste of our time to suggest that, you're never going to watch drag racing ever again because of Steve Torrence. Get out of here. Especially after the last 10 years, Alan. That is what most of the fans have been clamoring for. Genuine emotion, drivers that are not cookie-cutter corporate spokespeople, people that really care, the good old days like it used to be, all of that stuff. And now we get something that's in the neighborhood. I referenced, Ed McCullough. In my analogy, your analogy to the speeding ticket, by the way, is excellent. Great job. It's like you should do this for a living. But Ed the Ace McCullough, he's one of our great legends. He was out all year long with us. We're celebrating him. And what does everybody make jokes about Ace about? Like, what's the joking thing that everybody, laughs off? Ha ha. Oh, Ace. He's so funny. He used to beat people up. It was part of the sport's history.
Exactly.
So
it's one of the greatest T-shirts in the pits right now.
Right. So what are we talking about? All right, let's move forward to the actual racing action, and I appreciate it. We got to go into Erica and Greg and the Gianna Salinas, maybe one of the best finals ever for storylines. But Steve Torrence steals that number 1 qualifying position in Q4. That was very vital in terms of the championship. The first-round matchup against Cam Ferret gets through it. We all know what happened there. Second round, Brittany and Steve, for all intents and purposes, for all the marbles right there. That was a race.
Yes, it was. If Brittany beats Steve, then she takes over the point lead. It's not a lock yet, but she's been the point leader then going into the semifinals. With Steve winning, he, in essence, wrapped up the championship. The only way that he could lose it was to have a point penalty come up in the semifinals, and he wasn't about to let that happen. So, congratulations to Steve. I like the fact that 1 and 2 went head to head. I think if they're spread on the ladder, and if Brittany never races Steve and never races Doug, then it's just different. I liked when the combatants go head to head, and Steve took care of his business there. And then, Doug ended up winning the race, but by then it was a little bit too late. It would have been nice to see Doug and Steve go head-to-head at some point, but at that point it didn't matter. If they had raced in the final, the championship was over anyway. And I did think it was kind of cool that both of Connie Coletta's cars raced each other in the final. Richie Crampton's last ride, at least for a while, and Connie celebrating 60 years, and with Reg Kenny retiring and all the stuff that was going on, that was a really cool send-off for Coletta Motorsports to have their two cars in the final, and then Doug ended up taking the trophy.
Absolutely. Fantastic day of Top Fuel racing. Jordan and Austin Prock, the two young bucks battling it out. Jordan wins that one to even the season series. Just so many great things happening throughout the day. I do want to ask your opinion, though, about the points penalty rules thing that we had to experience both with Robert Hight and Steve Torrence. It feels like something that in the past we've tried to avoid. The confusion of okay, this driver almost disincentivizing pulling to the starting line, right? If, only bad things can happen for you if you cross the center line here, so maybe you shouldn't even start the car. They both did, but I don't know. I'd like to see that cleared up.
Well, it's never been a problem in the past because it was never a penalty in the past. The penalty for crossing the center line was always disqualification of the run or losing the round, and that was deemed enough. When they implemented the penalty about crossing this line basically between 1,000 and 1,320 for the Nitro cars, that's when the point penalty for crossing the center line came into play. I would not be surprised if it gets revisited at some point during the winter break going forward, but I will let the rule makers deal with that.
Absolutely, but I'm advocating it here on the show. Not that they're all listening. I don't think they're all huddled around their podcast, Alan, listening to WFO. But if they are, I would like to see that eliminated because to me, it softened some of the championship coronation. The moment of the champions, yeah, not really, because they got to stage it up next round and avoid crossing the center line and the word avoid. I don't know. It doesn't seem to work. Bottom line, though, great season, and yes, great to see Doug Coletta go out there and get the race win. Final points, Steve Torrence wins it by 3 points over Doug Coletta. Brittany, third, 52 back, followed by Leah, fourth in the standings, 130 back. Billy Torrence, fifth. Richie Crampton, Mike Salinas, Austin Prock, Antron Brown, and Clay Milliken rounding out the top 10. Great season of Top Fuel drag racing. Funny car, the Burnout. A lot of people were mad about that too, Alan. I think now, though, it has been explained in a way that everyone can understand and accept. But in the moment, there were a lot of people that thought Robert left his car out there on purpose to avoid crossing the center line. That penalty thing we were just talking about.
Well, the thing that I found interesting about that is, Robert said that the car died, that he thought it ran out of fuel. Brian Lones told me at the banquet that he spoke to Jimmy Brock, and Jimmy said that it had broken a connecting rod. Now, Robert, after that, said, I don't know where this story came from, but we haven't thrown a rod out all year, and we didn't throw one out on the Burnout. So I don't know what exactly it was that made the car die at the end of the Burnout, but I think the salute to the fans was cool. The fact that he didn't get an opportunity to make the run and give Jack Beckman a race wasn't. But you know what? I'm just going to call that a wash because I really think that the long Burnout salute to the fans was pretty cool. Anytime you can hear the fan reaction over Nitro cars idling, you've done something special, and that's exactly what Robert did.
That's exactly right. And we saw there were a couple of times. It's something that happens in other sports that doesn't happen in drag racing. We got these really loud cars, and we love them, but the cheer of the crowd, you rarely get to see, or the disapproval of the crowd. We saw one of those, a couple of those, actually, on the weekend, which was pretty neat. But bottom line, Matt Hagan, number one qualifier, goes through Johnny Lindbergh. Johnny not going to be back with Head Incorporated next year. Blake Alexander taking that ride. That's some of the news we found out over the course of the weekend. Goes through Ron Capps, gets to Robert Hight. There it is. Big championship matchup right there. Robert takes him down, and that, for the most part, locks up the title. Beckman goes to the final round, and just a great day of racing top to bottom.
It certainly was. The Nitro classes put on a great show, both Funny Car and Top Fuel. The drama lasted a little bit longer in Funny Car, as you mentioned, with Robert Hagan going after it head to head. And again, that's what I want to see. I think that's what most of the fans want to see. Put the championship contenders in the ring, and let's see who is the last man standing. Congratulations to Robert. He's had a great car for the last 5 years. Came up a couple of rounds short last year. And, this was right in the mix again all year this year, and they looked like they were on a mission coming out of the box, and they were able to accomplish it.
With all the discussion of the countdown, right, and even halfway through this year, and, we're going to speak with Jack Beckman and Jag and the race winners and champions through the winter break, of course. But Beckman had me, thinking about the countdown, like that it's maybe not the best way to do it because of, and he listed all these very well thought out reasons. It's Jack Beckman, right? But after watching this 6-race countdown, I am right back to where I was in that this is an exciting way to end the season, and each of our champions are deserving champions, and the person that, for the most part, all season long had great success. The only one you could say is that, Erica, but she was strong, right up to, Brainerd is where she really came alive and was dominant through the countdown, which is how it's supposed to be. So I think the countdown reflects the champions in an accurate way this year.
I would agree with that. I think that, when you look at Erica came from 5th, which is the furthest back a Pro Stock driver has ever come to win in the countdown era. But, Robert was the leader coming in, and Steve was the leader coming in, and Andrew was the leader all year long. So I don't think you can argue with the three of those. And, if without the countdown, I don't know what the points would have been, but Erica, I think, would have been right in the mix as strong as she was the last 6 races of the year, because there was nobody in Pro Stock that was a runaway leader like Andrew was or like Steve was. So, the last 6 races, I think we're going to decide it anyway. I loved the gamesmanship that Greg Anderson employed in qualifying. I think, it had people watching, and I think that's very important. And, like I said on my online poll, and then I also said a couple of times during the course of the weekend, it's like, pick a side. If you don't like it, great, root for Erica. But if you understand the business of racing means that, hey, sometimes I need to try to get this person out of here, and I don't care if it's a bracket race at your local weekend track or if it's racing Pro Stock. If it comes down to, for the championship, I need this person to lose, I'm going to pull up next to him in lanes if I can. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with that. I think, if anything, it's a compliment because, but what you're basically saying is I don't think anybody else can beat you, so I got to do it myself. And then as it came down, Greg couldn't do it either. So good on Erica. I think, if nothing else, I think it's an extra cherry on top of the sundae, so to speak, because they came after her with unorthodox methods, and she prevailed anyway. Absolutely.
In addition to that, and I've said this a couple of times, and I want to qualify it in that, I said that, Erica should thank Greg. And the reason is the spotlight that was on Pro Stock was amplified by his actions. There are people that do not care. Let's face it, right? Pro Stock is not the Nitro cars. It's got a huge base. I would call it the largest, gasoline audience in all of drag racing, certainly. And a lot of people love Pro Stock, guys like us, who, it takes maybe a little more to understand. They don't go 330 miles per hour. They're not super loud, but it's a diehard category. But this given day, everybody paid attention to Pro Stock because of what was going on. The scuttlebutt on the internet. The internet was buzzing. Greg making moves. And even guys on Team Elite, people close to Erica, were saying, this is what we would be doing if the roles were reversed. And so I think setting up that round 1 matchup and the way it turned out, that was probably the best single race of the whole weekend.
It was certainly right up there, and again, I said a couple of times, and my email box was full of, various things. And it's like, but the thing is, you're going to be watching Pro Stock tomorrow. And that was a big message that I got through social media platforms and everything else. People that, well, I don't always watch Pro Stock, but I'm going to be watching tomorrow. And I think that was a good thing. Anytime you put a spotlight on it, anytime you get more eyeballs pointed your direction, that's a good thing. And now you got to live up to it. You got to, the people that decided, okay, I'm going to turn in and watch this, you got to make it worth watching, and hopefully you will convince some of those people to watch on a more regular basis, because this is what you're missing normally, even if it doesn't have all the hype leading up to it. But this is the kind of racing, this is the kind of competition that you see normally, and hopefully that'll get some more eyeballs pointed to them in the future. I like the strategy. I understand it completely. I wasn't rooting for or against anybody, but I really think pick a side. And I spoke with Jim Greenleaf a little bit, just dumb luck, happened to bump into him at a local restaurant on Saturday night, and we were talking about it. And, there's the whole corporate standpoint, right? If you are a corporate sponsor, and you certainly don't want people talking bad about you or thinking, but the reality of it is, if you're an Erica fan, you're not buying from Summit anyway. Right. Erica's fans buy from Jags. That's her teammate. That's what's on her car. So I don't see how you're going to alienate any of your customer base. I think what you're going to do is you're going to pump up your customer base, right? I want my guy to beat your guy. I want my sponsor to beat your sponsor. I want whatever you want. I don't care how it turns out, but don't kill the momentum that you've got going now. I think it's a big deal. And Jim agreed with me while we were, sitting there having dinner that he believes it's good for everybody, because the more eyeballs that are looking at that race, the more of them are going to see Summit Racing equipment on the side of one car, and that's good for them. And again, if you're an Erica fan, you're already not my customer. I'm not going to win you over because Greg wins this race. So why not go ahead and try to win a championship? And I'm 100% for it. And I hope that all the corporate powers that be up the ladder feel the same way. Obviously Jegs doesn't have a problem with it, because when the guy driving the team car is named Jeg, you certainly don't have to get corporate approval to do anything over there. So, good on them. And as I said when I was doing the Pro Stock presentation at the banquet, don't let the rivalry die. You have people watching. You have people interested. Now keep their attention.
Exactly.
If they come out next year with the whole, we really respect those guys and we really love them, they're a great team and we're just happy, you've basically undone all the hard work you've done. You need to come out at Pomona. You need to come out at Gainesville. You need to come out every time you come out next year with the same, I'm here to kick his butt, or I'm here to kick her butt. She's the champion. I'm after her. It has nothing to do with her being a girl. It has something to do with her being a champion. I want the number one back, and she's the one that's wearing it, so I'm after her. And bring it. It will be good for the whole class.
Agreed. Absolutely. And, the person, we got a lot of them out there in the world right now. It's a little sad. I encourage people to share their opinions, of course, but to write like Summit a letter, I'll never shop there ever again because Greg Anderson tried to win the championship by qualifying 15th and racing Erica. Like, come on, that's just that's craziness. There's a lot out there in the world, though, craziness. But I think it was great.
But how many of those people even know what a camshaft is?
Right. Are they actually buying anything? No, they are not. Although I hear there are great Christmas gifts available at Summit. But exactly. Just because you can pound out an email on a keyboard doesn't mean you're actually spending any money. And even if you are, right, you should just spend it. You should reward Jegs for supporting Erica, not punish Summit. And I really don't think there's a lot of people. Great stuff, though. Very great day. How about Fernando Quadro? Of course. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Joe. I don't think there's a racer on the planet that has a problem with what Greg did.
No. I get it.
When you're the one, you're like, really, dude, you're coming after me, you're doing this? Well, yeah. But when you're the one that needs to have, every racer on the planet has done that. How many stock and super stock racers manipulate the ladder, either looking for the buy run or looking for the easy side or trying to stay away from an unwinnable heads up? Manipulating qualifying is as old as drag racing itself. And I don't believe there's a racer on the planet that has a problem with it. If you're an Erica fan, great. If you're a Greg fan, great. Pick a side, and then the next time those two race, you're going to be rooting for one of them.
Anybody who has run for a track championship, as I have, Alan, has experienced this. Let me tell you about 1993, where I was second in the point standings, and I had to win the race to win the track championship. And so the guy who was leading the points had a bunch of good friends, as is the case at local tracks. Like it kind of little cliques form, right? Like you pit together with certain people. And so in the final race, his guys came after me. And every round of racing, I ran one of his guys. They kept coming after me, and I beat them all until the final round, which I lost. But it was a very exciting day, and I ended up 11 points out of the championship lead. Had I won the final, I would have won the race. I ended up losing. But it was a valuable lesson. And in 1996, a couple years later, same thing, except roles were reversed. Now, I was chasing the champion, and I tried to get next to him first round, and it didn't work out. He lost first round. Guess what? I had to win the race, and I didn't win the race. And so I finished second again. 2 out of 3 years, I finished second, Alan. It was pretty tough. But the third year, right in the middle, I won the track championship. So it all worked out.
I'll tell you two examples of that. One was in Supergas a few years ago. Biondo and Sawyer were the two that were alive. Pete Biondo had a chance. Pete Biondo had the lead, basically had to keep Mike Sawyer, from going, whatever it was, 2 or 3 rounds or something. And it's a blind draw in the first round. of the heads-up super category. So when they call him to the lanes, Mike Sawyer pulls up in the lanes, Pete Biano pulls up right beside him. And they know exactly what's going on here. It's like, I need to beat you in order to maintain my championship lead, in order to seal my championship. And Sawyer was like, if I can't beat you, I don't deserve to be the champion. Put your damn helmet on and let's go. And that's what they did. And one of the other ones, this I thought was the all-time greatest manipulation in the history of the world. Val Torres, who is a big player out here in my part of the world, super gas, super comp, multiple-time division champion, multiple-time event winner. And he's in the middle of a championship chase. And as you said, the other side has their team, right, their clique. So when they call the cars up for first round, Val comes up into the lanes and they surrounded him. There was no way, even a blind draw, there's no way Val's not going to have to run one of these guys who's all on the other team. So once everybody was kind of locked into the lanes and done and they couldn't move around and the matchups were pretty much set, Val got out of his son's car, walked back to his trailer, got his car, which looks almost exactly the same, and then pulled up in the back of the lanes. So he was completely away from him. But it was the funniest thing ever because these guys are like livid. You can't do that. That's cheating. It's like, dude, seriously? It's gamesmanship. It was a riot.
It is,
and I do believe Val went ahead and won the division championship that year. So it was definitely worthwhile.
Exciting stuff, and these are the kind of things that when you go out to your local track, you go out to divisional racings or finals racing. If you are able to pay attention to these things, they're happening all around you. It's hard to keep track of all of these stories and all these different categories. But Greg brought it to the forefront, and now everybody knows about it. And it happened in the most public kind of way with two of the class's most popular drivers with a championship on the line. Erica got the job done, and it was flat out awesome. Everybody was talking about it. So much fun. That was the Pro Stock.
And you also can't in a situation like this, Greg can't just go, okay, guys, I want to be 15.
No, that's the hardest part of all of it.
It's not quite shot in the dark, but all it takes is one person to make another run somewhere to shuffle the whole ladder around, and now all your strategy is completely out the window. But the fact that he employed the strategy, and again, as I said in my Pro Stock presentation, against all odds, it worked on Saturday, and then on Sunday when it came time to close the deal, Erica cracked him, and game over. So I hope it happens again somewhere down the road. I don't care if it's first round, final round. The next time those two race each other head to head, I think people are going to be paying attention, and I think it is extremely important that they do not kill the hype and the rivalry.
Absolutely. Keep it going, and I know a lot of people are excited for the Winter Nationals already. Like, wow, they're going to be back. We're going to go again. It's exciting. That's what it's supposed to be, although I will take a little break. Pro Stock Motorcycle. Matt Smith, number 1 qualifier. All Andrew Hines has to do is beat Gianna Salinas, the number 13 qualifier, first round championship coronation. Instead, he backs out. Red lights start, 135 red. Gianna goes to the second round. Now the door is open for Matt, for Jerry. The cosmic forces, that's all I could say, right? Gianna, second round, Steve Johnson, he breaks, she wins. Gianna versus Matt Smith, semis, he breaks, she wins. Final round, Jerry Savoy, all he's got to do is beat the number 13 qualifier, someone who's never won before, Gianna Salinas. He becomes champion. Guess what? His bike breaks on the starting line, misfires. She wins the race with a 746, becomes the first-time winner, and Andrew Hines is your champ. How about that?
Well, I mean, I pretty much saw that coming. When I was filling my ladder brackets out on Saturday night, I had Gianna penciled in to win the race,
of course,
right from the get-go. I think the whole thing was orchestrated by the Harley team because, we all know that the Harley team does whatever they want, and, everybody just falls in line with them. So, that's the way I saw it. I think they just wanted to add a little bit more drama to it because winning a championship in the first round when the Pro Stock was still up for grabs and when Funny Car was still up for grabs and when Top Fuel was still up for grabs, the Harley team, I think, flat out orchestrated that. Everybody went along with it, and that made for a great story. That's what I think.
Agreed, definitely. Andrew knew the whole time it was just going to be his. He took it like a champ, very cool, very calm, very collected during the whole thing. I heard he was dying back there, like went through the stages of grief.
Wouldn't you be?
I would be devastated. You know who?
I mean, it's one thing if you're Steve, if you're Matt, if you're Jerry, you had a mechanical issue. But the reality is Andrew screwed that up. He had the best bike in that head-to-head matchup. He had all of the stars aligned on his side, and he personally messed it up. So, you can give me the win as a team, lose as a team thing until the end of time, but he would have always known if he lost that championship, he was the one. It wasn't the team. It was him. And they would have supported him. They're not going to throw him under the bus. They wouldn't, because that's just the way they are. But you still know. The thing that used to aggravate me more than anything when I was playing competitive sports is if my team would lose because of my mistake. If it's like we're in good position, if somebody beats us, they beat us. If somebody's more skilled than us, more talented, it's your day, fine. You beat us. Congratulations. Let's all have a beer. But if my team lost because I made the error in the ninth inning, or because I couldn't pick up, the strike when I needed it, or if it was me that let the team down, that really annoyed me. And I'm sure that's what was eating as Andrew, was the fact that he felt like he was the one that let the team down. And then, for whatever reason, the cosmic gods saved him.
Yeah, they did. And it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I was putting myself in the position of Andrew throughout the day and thinking the thoughts like this is something, like, if it goes the other way, he's going to wake up in the middle of the night having this nightmare, 20 years from now, thinking about this. This is the kind of thing that will never, ever be gotten over. And fortunately, like you said, the racing gods had mercy, and he ends up winning the title. Gianna wins the race, but what a day.
I do think it was also pretty cool, and it was pretty prominently posted on social media. Matt Smith put a $1,000 bounty on Drew before qualifying started, and when he lost, he went over and paid Gianna, even though she beat him too. So he didn't win the championship, but that wasn't the deal. He wanted it to be known that, and they filmed it when he went over, or recorded it, and it was up on social media that he walked over and handed her a stack of $100 bills for collecting the bounty on Andrew. And I think that's good for the motorcycle class as well. As tight knit, and I don't believe there is a tighter knit group in NHRA than the pro stock motorcycle teams as a whole. But the fact that they still, they still go after each other when it's time to go after each other. At the end of the day, I think most of them will sit down and have a beer or share a bowl of popcorn or something. But when it's time to go head to head, they certainly get up for the game, and I commend them for that.
So true, and congratulations to Gianna, and congratulations to Andrew. We're going to hear from both of them on WFO in the coming weeks, where the season never ends on WFO. 26 points was the final margin for Andrew over Jerry, 46 over Matt. Big news coming out of the weekend: Angel going to be back on a Harley Davidson next year. I was under the impression that was not guaranteed to happen. So knowing that it is now going to happen makes me happy, because she was running real well at the end of the season.
I think so too, and I think that talking to Karen Stouffer when she got all of a sudden she became next to unbeatable at the end of the season, and speaking to her, and she said that her riding style and Jerry's riding style were far enough different that they had to adapt the bike for her. And it just took a while and a lot of runs to get everybody in the comfort zone and everybody on the same page. And I think that's the same thing with Angel. The different bikes that she's ridden and the ways that she has been taught and the things that are ingrained in her, it's a matter of now finding the sweet spot between the way they do it on Team Harley and the way Angel has done it. And I think you could start to see the progress toward the end of the season, because she certainly looked more comfortable and was making better runs the last 5 or 6 races a year than she was the first 5 or 6 races a year. So I'm glad to see them extend that opportunity for her. I think it's going to pay dividends.
Absolutely. I have no doubt. And, the top alcohol categories, Sean Cowie, Shane Westerfield winning the race. Of course, Sean Bellemere, Megan Meyer picking up the championship. Comp Eliminator, it was Doug Lambeck. Frank Aragona won the title. That has been the case for a while. Super Stock, Jeff Dona, Jeff Taylor, Jeffs. You had to be named Jeff if you're going to win this event in one of the stock or super stock categories. Super Comp, Ryan McClanahan. Steve Williams, Super Gas. How classy was it that he hand-delivered the number 1 to Ray
Miller? Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yes. How awesome was that? What a classy guy. Ray Miller is delivered the championship. And the Summit ET Series World Championship. Chris Johnston, Jim Weir, Mike Sturgill, Ryan Montfort, racing on the big stage. Speaking of bracket racing, like a little bit earlier, that's the biggest stage they're going to get for a bracket race, and I thought that they did a great job winning it all. All in all, fantastic finals. Any final summary points that you want to throw out there, Alan, at the conclusion of this discussion?
No, I just the fact that it was a terrific race, and I think it was another one of those that that my classic yardstick. If that was the first time you'd seen us, would you come back? And if that was the first time, and I said it in the winner's circle, I literally asked, how many of you, this is your first NHRA experience? And I got a handful of hands, and I said, if you didn't think this was cool, don't ever come back, because we ain't got nothing for you. And it just was one of those days. I love when things happen that have to be real or nobody would believe. I mean, okay, Joe, I got this movie idea, okay? I'm going to write a story about this girl who wants to race pro stock motorcycle and who comes out and who really, let's be honest, isn't very good at it. She doesn't have a lot of experience. She's not, and so she struggles through the whole season. She actually crashes at one point. She goes, and then she comes into the final race of the season. She beats the 3 championship contenders as well as the guy who's got the hottest motorcycle that's not in contention for the championship to win her first race, never making a 6-second run. That's my Hollywood movie. What do you think?
No way. Wait, can we get Brad Pitt in there? If Brad Pitt can play Gianna Salinas, then maybe. But other than that, no.
But, I mean, right? So that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy when you go out there and watch and go, if I wasn't seeing this, if somebody told me this 20 years from now, somebody's going to go, there was this time, and everybody's going to go, sure, Grandpa, whatever you say, that really happened. But when things like that happen, it makes it worth going to the races, and it makes it a pretty special day. I
can't disagree. In fact, I have thrown around, you've done this a lot longer than I have. I've been to, now several finals and endured a couple of full pole seasons and all of that. And this one just felt like there's a ramping up, right? It feels like there's an acceleration within the NHRA, multiple categories, multiple personalities. There's a lot going on. And like you said, right, like maybe you don't like Pro Stock, but you like Top Fuel. Maybe you don't like Top Fuel, but you like Pro Stock Motorcycle. There's action in all the classes. And this conclusion to the season was the best that I have seen with top to bottom storylines. Everywhere you look, there was a story of interest in the Mellow Yellow Series. And that's all you can hope for.
I agree. I think that, as I said, if that was your first NHRA experience and you didn't think it was cool, then we probably don't have anything for you going forward. But it was a fun race. It'll be a short winter break, and we'll be right back at it.
Yes, exactly. And there's plenty of storylines coming down the pike, like the Blake Alexander to Jim Head scenario. And there are multiple. Many have been announced, many to be announced. We will see. The Richie Crampton situation is, unfortunate for Richie. I do think he'll be back behind the wheel of a car at some point somewhere. But Blake and Jim Head, that is a combination that my initial hot take read, I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work, just because I feel like Blake is a pretty headstrong young man, and Jim Head, we need not even, characterize it. It'll be interesting to see them work together.
They'll be fine. If Big Jim Dunn and Al Hoffman could get along for 2 seasons, then anything's possible.
There you go. Good point. Well, Alan, it was a pleasure this year, working alongside you. I think we had... I had fun. Like, we had fun. Like, this was a fun season. I shouldn't say that aloud, right? It was hard work. It was back-breaking, grueling work, Alan. But in addition to that, the fans, the people, the locations, the racing, the racers, the on-mic stuff, like, I felt like it all turned out great. Alan, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
All right, Joe. Well, enjoy your week and have a great Thanksgiving, and I will chat with you before you know it.
Alan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and, enjoy it, and we'll try to connect next week.
Sounds good.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. And it was a great year. It was a great finals. I think it was maybe the best finals that I have seen for pure storylines, like top to bottom, right? You got the Steve Torrence deal, which Steve Torrence on WFO Radio this week, addressing all the issues, addressing everything, talking about the good and the bad. Steve Torrence. I want to see that guy out there in the mainstream. I think they will like him. Is he, he's not a perfect individual. There's a lot about that out there in the world, right? Who expects that? Nobody. Certainly should not expect perfection. And we had a lot of fun with that on the Ignition Show, which I suggest you listen to. But great stuff. Gianna Salinas is going to be on. She's going to talk about her race win. Of course, Andrew Hines had a cold this week. We'll catch up with Andrew next week. And the whole parade of champions. We're going to speak with everybody. We're going to speak literally with every champion. That is my goal. We got until the end of January. Allison Dahl, Frank Aragona, Sean Bellemere, Megan Meyer, all of them. We're going to catch up with all of them on WFO. Click subscribe. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be great. I like to think we, throw a curveball at them every once in a while. I was attacked recently on the internet for being a shill for the company, right? Like, oh, Joe's income is reliant upon NHRA, and so that means the stuff he does on his show is not worthwhile. It was interesting to see that. I don't think it's accurate in any way. But you got to have haters, man. Otherwise, you're not doing it right. So there it is. And I think that applies to Steve, too. We're still talking about it. Robert Haidt, we're going to catch up with Robert. Beckman, of course, this week. And then Erica, who's over there in Saudi Arabia, which is very interesting, the whole Saudi Arabian experience. I love the idea that we're sending a female racing champion to Saudi Arabia, where women can't drive until very recently. Now they can drive, from what I understand. But I'm interested. Like, what's up with that? It's going to be great. And, of course, can't wait to speak with Erica. Click subscribe. Download the free WFO Radio mobile application. And remember, it's because of Total Seal Piston Rings at TotalSeal.com, Samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Magic Dry US, and Marvin Rodax, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com, that we're able to get together and put the effort into this show. It does take a fair amount of effort. Just imagine how long each interview takes, plus some time to put it all together and get everybody on the same page when it's going to go down. 2020, really looking forward to it. 2019, really proud of it. There will be a My Time segment, probably for the Patreons, where I wax nostalgic and kind of look back. Got a lot of feedback on my what I thought of the Torrance Cam Foray show that we put out. So many things happened this year. NHRA drag racing definitely has momentum in the motorsports community. We do still have some challenges. We have, plenty of challenges. Fighting for respect in motorsports. There are still people that don't think it's challenging because you're not turning. We got that. We've got just so many things. We've got to educate people as to what this is. But I brought a buddy of mine, P-Dog, who lived in Florida for many years and then moved to California. And for every year I've been telling him, you come out to the finals and see the racing. People are busy. They have their lives. Their lives are exactly what they want them to be. And getting people to break away from their life to be a part of your life is not always the easiest thing. They're busy. People be busy. And so he came out, though. He came out to the finals. And he said to me, he's like, this is not what I expected at all. This is not what I imagined it was. I was like, is that good or bad? He goes, no, it's badass. It's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. And it's just, everything is just, this is amazing. And he loved it. And here's somebody that, he knows me and he knows of drag racing, and just people don't know what it is. They don't know the experience. And while we got people on the internet fighting about, penal code, California Penal Code X2575, and that Steve should have been hauled away in a paddy wagon, how crazy is that? How crazy is that, peoples? But I digress. We got a lot of work to do in the NHRA. The NHRA has got a lot of work to do. I should not assume that I am just, always going to be, we. It's not we, it's they. And I'm lucky to be a part of they for the time being. And I'm very well aware of that as someone who comes out of a radio background. All right, more interviews to come. Steve Torrance, of course, Alan Reinhart, you just heard, Jack Beckman, Gianna Salinas, Jeg Coughlin, all coming up this week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Let me just say that. I know at the end of these, like a lot of people, do you care about what stuff Castello says after the interview? And that depends on who you are, right? Some yes, some no. The ones who don't, you're probably gone. The ones who do, thank you. And that's what I want to say. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Life is easy for some, hard for others. But there are always challenges. And you can get through the challenges if you've got good game plan, hard work, and good people around you to help support you. And that's what I've got. Not only my family, my mom and dad, and my great friend circle that I have assembled, The new friends that I met out there in NHRA world, which are great, like just countless of high-quality, entertaining, fun, funny, go-getter type people. There are no slackers in NHRA community that I can identify because you can't survive out there if you're not giving it 110%, not going 110. So all those people, and you, the WFO radio listeners, like you guys, you got to understand, this WFO radio podcast it's the thing that I own. It's my heart and soul putting out there so that I can never be fired and have nothing. You know, the radio industry, broadcast industry, television industry, it's all so challenging. A great friend of mine just got blown out from his radio job, a colleague of mine, let me say it that way. And it's very tough. And so when I started WFO Radio, I know we were going up against, big corporations, MRN, PRN, WFO, bringing motorsports entertainment to people who care. In our case, NHRA drag racing focused, because I knew 10 years ago that NHRA still had a lot of room to run and grow. That the society, or people are just now realizing that they don't have time for 3.5 hours of the same thing. But they got time for 3.5 hours of a bunch of little different things. And that's what NHRA is. Drag racing in general. Just met so many great people at the racetrack this year. Thank you for that. Thank you for saying hello. So many wonderful people have entered our lives and done great things, like Steve, who has been doing the graphic arts for the show, the little artwork pieces that you see attached to the interviews, right? Taking the picture, putting some words over it, WFO welcomes, the new WFO logo. Bo Butner, Randy Lynn, doing the WFO radio t-shirts, available at nitrofishracing.com. That's great. Get that 10th anniversary shirt while it lasts. I'm hearing that's really the best Christmas gift you're going to get someone, along with a subscription of Drag Racing Edge magazine and EV3 Drag Racing. But I don't want to go on too long. I just want to say thank you and happy Thanksgiving to all you folks. Now it's time to get on to the next interview. WFO.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO radio. Oh, yeah.
Hey, WFO radio listeners, if you're in the northern part of the country, I know you're freezing right now. You know what would be great? A hot cup of Rodax coffee. Maybe a little hot sauce, a little spice rub for that food you're cooking in the oven. Check out RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. They've got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus custom blends like Bang the Blower and WFO Radio. Their coffee represents the top 5% of coffee grown throughout the world, and it's all roasted fresh per order. They've got limited edition, seasonal, and rare micro lots. They've got exotics. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or just pick up the phone. 817-924-6821. Keep your ear out for those WFO holiday packs. Depends on the holiday what the deal is, but Marvin is wheeling and he is dealing. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
This is WFO Radio.